After my cancer became under control and I continued my human rights work, one night I had a dream. And although I had never been in a mosque before, I was very clearly inside a mosque in my dream. And it was green with very bright lights and sparkling gold and crystals on the walls. And I heard a voice that said, "Come to Karbala, I will meet you there." I woke up and I knew that it was in my destiny to visit Karbala. I knew that Imam Hussein, it was incredible to me, but I knew that I had heard his voice. Not the way that you hear a voice in your ear, like with words, in my head and in my heart. About a year and a half later, I was at the United Nations in Geneva, and I was having a chat at the table with a Lebanese guy who was a cameraman. And he asked me about this desire I had to visit Karbala. And I said I really wanted to put my hands into the Euphrates to feel the water that Abbas had tried to bring to the women and the children. And that really, it was breaking my heart, that image that I had in my mind of Abbas. He made a video, a short clip, that was sent on social media. And another year passed after that. And he called me and he said, "Tara, prepare your soul. Imam Hussein is calling you to Karbala. You have been invited by the Holy Shrine to visit." I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It was like all of my birthdays came together at once. So I prepared, and there were, it's always complicated when you visit Imam Hussein. You can only come if you're invited. It would be impossibly difficult for an Irish woman from the other side of the world who speaks no Arabic to come alone to Iraq, and yet I did. So I arrived here in Iraq, and knowing that Hussein is the epitome of nobility, of holy religious characters since Christ, since Muhammad, peace be upon him. Next is Hussein. And Christ spoke about Hussein, about the one who would be sacrificed as a martyr at the Euphrates River. That strength that the prayers of people in Shia Islam had, I was floating on those prayers during the time that I was being poisoned with cancer. The bags of chemotherapy that they were giving to me, it was poison. It was killing my cells in order to help me to live. And I would look at that poison and think, I have to think of it as an elixir of life. I knew during those months of surgery, years of surgery, that I was feeling tortured. But I also knew people who were tortured physically to hurt them for their faith, really to persecute them. So I was grateful for my torture because I knew the intention was to heal me and to make me well. The suffering of the Shia people really inspired me and gave me strength. I was so encouraged by their struggle. I arrived to Karbala for my first Arba'een pilgrimage. I was collected at the airport by men who had been in Al-Hashd al-Shab. The truck that they were traveling in had just been in the battle for Mosul. So I knew I was really safe with these men, like they were heroes, angelic heroes. And I'm grateful to them and to Sheikh Ayatollah Sistani and to Imam Mahdi Abdullah al-Karbala'i for saying to the people, fight against Daesh. They saved us all. They saved us all. This rash, this scourge of bestiality, of animalistic behavior, the monsters that were Daesh, that the brave people of Iraq fought back and held back. They didn't take Najaf, they didn't take Karbala. How could they have taken these holy places? I arrived here, I went with these incredible heroes and arrived finally at Imam Hussein Shrine, where I met Imam Mahdi Abdullah al-Karbala'i. I had a conversation with him. I told him about my dream. Afterwards, I left his office and I stood in front of the dome of Imam Hussein. And I said to him, I'm so ashamed of what they did to you. and I'm so sorry that I wasn't here. I know I'm 1400 years late, but I came. I heard your voice and I came. I heard your call. When you stood in the desert alone and no one came for you. And I know that there was a Christian with him, John, who he went with his sword into the battle, and he said poetry on his lips. And he said that his sword was to fight for the truth of Imam Hussein. And when I stood there praying to Imam Hussein and speaking to him and imploring for him to tell me, what can I do with my life to help your cause for your people? The same voice that came to me in my dream came and said, Tara, your sword is your tongue. Go and tell my story. So I returned to Imam Mehdi Abdullah al-Karbalawi and I told him what I had heard. And I said, I need the impression of a cleric about what I heard. This is so strange to me. And he said, yes, now you know your work. So whether I am working with politics, international relations, interfaith relations, whatever platform I have, I introduce people to platforms so that they have more agency for how to express themselves, and I always mention the Battle of Karbala and the sacrifice that Imam Hussein made, and the sacrifice that all of the people in Iraq continue to make, that many people do not know about, that the world should know about, just like Imam Hussein and Karbala.